Alright, hello everyone. My name is Hannah C. Williams, and I'm going to be doing a sort of a makeup video while also talking about important issues affecting the Asian American community and also my own experience of such things. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to use the Bare Minerals Good Hydrations Primer. So yeah, there's obviously a lot of recent events happening, and it's definitely something that's been weighing very deeply on the consciousness of Asian people. And I have a lot of thoughts about what's going on right now, but it's hard to verbalize into words and talk about it. It's hard to talk about it in a way, and it's not just one thing. Obviously, it doesn't start and end at the, I believe, 8 or 9 people that were murdered in that event, and it doesn't start and end with that. And I think there's more to that than meets the eye. Now I'm going to go ahead and lay down my brows with this glue and then go in and follow it up with some Prozaid. So what I mean by that isn't just that, like, there's been sort of a narrative of xenophobia that's been spread within like the last 4 years or so, but there's actually a narrative of that within the country. If you look at things such as the Chinese Exclusion Act, and if you look at things that our country has done to other people, there's just a long history of basically regarding Asian lives, also Pacific Islander lives, as essentially like non-essential, so to speak. I'm trying to see if I have this tool with me. Okay, great. Just got a bunch of these. So there's a lot that we can talk about, and I think it's interesting. I'm reading this book right now called The Body Keeps Score, and it's about CPTSD, which I've been diagnosed with many things, but I haven't been diagnosed with that, and that's one thing that I believe that I have from childhood trauma. Growing up with abusive parents, which is not analogous to having Chinese parents, but it definitely plays, I think, a part in that culturally. So there's a part in that book where he's talking to a Vietnamese veteran, and he's building sympathy for this veteran, like he can't sleep at night and all of these things. But then at one point where he talks about where the veteran, his flashback is that, you know, he's like going through this swampy area, and then he sees all of his friends die because of the Viet Cong soldiers attacking them. He goes and then retaliates, and then this is a massive trigger warning, not just about racism, but also about sexual assault and stuff. He then goes ahead and gets revenge by going to a neighboring innocent village of Vietnamese people and killing men, women, and children and raping a woman. And then this is in the very beginning of the book, and I'm like, we're supposed to build sympathy for this person? Because if that was me, if I was a therapist, I would have ended that right there and been like, I can't work with you because I'm just not able to separate the fact that you were able to rationalize and do those things. And a lot of people see traumatizing things and they don't go ahead and just murder a village of people. And I think that's the thing, is just that we in society are used to seeing Asian bodies and stuff as collateral. We're used to seeing them as essentially disposable, as that's just something that happens. If you watch the movie, I think it was based off Hard Darkness, Apocalypse Now. There's like a woman that's dying, and then they just shoot her at one point, and it's all because they couldn't decide whether they were like Viet Cong or not, and they were just innocent people. And this is just something that you'll see on and on again within our country. There's a lot of this happening. It has to do with the emasculation also of like Chinese and Filipino men. Part of the reason why the whole trope of the, like, I think, not even just submissive, but, like, the prostitute, like, Asian women and stuff, is because of how we've made it really hard for, like Chinese women, for example, to find work. We literally banned them from the country for a while, and their only way of finding work was to, like, work, either basically, like, sacrifice their lives and work building railroads, or they had to, they were able to get jobs doing laundry, and then they would try and bring their whole entire family here. But then I think we literally even tried to put a limit. We were like, okay, we can allow Chinese men that be laborers, but we don't want you to bring your family. The things that we've done in this country have been supremely fucked up. So when I say that this has been a reoccurring thing, that's what I mean. I'm gonna now go in with my Fenty Beauty makeup. This is gonna look dark on my skin because I feel like I don't know why, but my face has been, like, more pale than my hands recently. You can't tell because it's good lighting, so it kind of smooths everything out. But I think this is a shade lighter than my summer shade back in LA. This is like my summer shade back in the Bay Area. And now it's just too dark for me because I've been inside the whole entire time because of quarantine. Okay, it's actually not too bad. I also got the Fenty Beauty the one for dry skin, and it looked really dark on me for some reason. But anyway, that's kind of a short history of the things that we've done, and it barely even covers the history of imperialism of like the Philippines and Asia in general. So there's a lot of just basically sentiment that Asian people are other, and Asian people, again, are just these people that we've conquered in different countries, these people that people have, like, fought and stuff. And then the whole thing of, like, China and stuff. Now, I'm a very big critiquer of, like, Chinese government, and it's just so wild how people expect to be judged not by the sins of their country. You don't go up to, like, an American and then just immediately assume that they're responsible for bombing Afghanistan, even though that's essentially what happened when we were kids and when our parents were, you know, young adults and stuff like that. But then they're willing to go ahead and pin it. There's just so many levels of this. It's the Chinese government's crimes, which then the Chinese people in China are responsible for, then Chinese people in America are somehow responsible for, then non-Chinese people that are Asian and look like Chinese people are somehow responsible for, and you're willing to put all of that together, and then you're willing to basically write off these whole entire people. That's just the epitome of racism, and just ridiculousness is what it is. So the reason why I'm doing my makeup is because I have a performance later. It's going to actually be a vigil in the Castro, and it's a solidarity moment between the Asian American community here in SF, along with the the LGBT community, of which I am both. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead now and let's see. Oh shit, this is like so broken. I'm gonna go ahead and apply my eye primer. So there's a lot that I can say also about, like, my history of racism. It was so bad, I made a poetry book about it, which you can still buy. I have about 20 copies left. And yeah, like, my history is that I grew up actually in a city that used to be historically white, like many cities in the United States, and then gradually became Asian through immigration of people very specifically to this area. This area is now known as the San Gabriel Valley, which is known for having a huge influx of Chinese Americans and Taiwanese Americans and a ton of boba shops. But it's also known to be an area where a lot of Asian people are complacent. The stereotype of drinking boba, and this is a stereotype within the community, so this is something that people like me talk about, of just drinking boba and being like apolitical and having a relatively large amount of money and, I don't know, rice and cars and stuff. None of which, by the way, is like actually any bad. Okay, and then now I'm gonna go ahead and do my contour. So we're doing like kind of like an Asian look today. But yeah, this area which I grew up in, it's funny because it's so Asian American, but you can't escape the racist past and the people that are really angry that their city got taken over by Asian Americans, because there would be Facebook groups called like I used to love Temple City, and people would just say the most racist things. They're all people that, like, I realize now, if they weren't dead before, I think COVID definitely got them, because they were really, really old when I was like a 14-year-old, which means they're probably like dead now. But just people saying like racist things, like Asian people should like bow their heads and stuff, and but you can't say I'm racist because I almost married like a Chinese man. This is like real stuff that I'm quoting right here that was in that Facebook group. So that's our like that's my like past, but for the most part we wouldn't be able to see much of it because our area was so insulated. But the moment you did go outside, like I worked, because I was low income, which was unlike a lot of Chinese Americans in our area, so I felt kind of left out and stuff. I worked 2 jobs in a neighboring area called Old Pasadena, and that area was really white. Pasadena is pretty white compared to the neighboring areas, but I mean overall in terms of California standards, it's relatively diverse because of the population of Black, Latinx, and Asian people that are in that area. Yeah, so I would work in the richest part of the area where, again, it was supposed to be diverse, but there was like a lot of old money there. People would just go up to me in these books, in my bookstore job, and just say random shit. Like, I would be like, they would be like, oh, is there a good restaurant nearby? I'm like, I like this Japanese restaurant. And they're like, oh, you're Japanese. I was like, what the fuck? Like, no, I just answered your question. I'm trying to be like a good, like, I'm trying to be good at my job and stuff, which is $8 an hour and barely pays for anything. Yeah, that's really all how far you had to go just to experience racism again, which was maybe like about like 8 miles away from my city. You can get there by bus, which I took, again, because I was poor. Because in LA, if you're there's like a whole class difference between like cars and stuff. That's like another thing in itself. But a lot of these experiences were really triggering. At one point, I got so tired of people asking like what my ethnicity was. It would come up like literally in the first sentence. They would come up to me and be like, what are you? Are you Filipino? Are you Korean? Are you Chinese? And I was just like, what the fuck? You don't know my name? You don't know anything about me. This was back when I didn't know I was non-binary, so there was always this assumption of like people were comfortable going up to me because I was a cute Asian girl, and then they just thought they could say whatever they wanted to me. And then so I started counting the amount of times that people would just go up to me and ask me my ethnicity unprompted, or basically do the where are you really from, but where's your family from sort of thing. And again, these are unsolicited questions. I don't mind if someone that I'm talking to is like, oh, by the way, Amy, like, if you don't mind me asking, like, there's a polite way to do it, but if you're a stranger, I don't owe you shit, and you're being extremely othering. So, I started counting how many times this would happen, and it was every 6 days. Every 6 days, someone would just go up and ask me and other me and remind me that you're not white, you don't pass, you can't exist peacefully in this area. And this is LA, which is not as, there's a smaller Asian population than the Bay Area, because I get that much less in the Bay Area. Still sometimes though, but not to make me go crazy. And then when you went ahead and you took the days that I had off, or the days I just didn't leave the house, which became more and more often, it became like every 2 days or every other day. So I was kind of going crazy because I was being othered, I was being stereotyped. People were also just putting their projections of like an Asian woman on me, and I was not about that because I didn't know I was non-binary, but I definitely felt things where I couldn't believe that other women were okay with it, and going through things such as like street harassment and stuff like that. There's a lot of gaslighting too from other white people, and also even from like shitty what's the word, contrarian Asian Americans that want to pretend that racism is not a thing because they haven't experienced it. I have to do my makeup a little bit faster. I'm gonna go ahead, take a fluffy brush, and then go into I'm gonna do red and gold, and we're gonna do like a really Asian, not Asian, Chinese look. There was a period where literally I would just get like nervous, and my anxiety would go up whenever I saw like a white person, specifically an older white person, because I would just be afraid that they would come up to me and just say the most racist thing. This was also at my like conservative private Christian university. Why did I go? Because I was poor and it was the only place that gave me a decent scholarship. What do I say there? And I hated it because I would be like, oh, this person's looking at me, they're looking at me again. Are they gonna go ahead? And oh, okay, alright. They went ahead and asked me, like, where are you from? What's your ethnicity? Where are you really from? And then I would hate it because I was right. I looked at them, I thought they were gonna say something to me, and they did. And I have to think about for the rest of the day how, like, I just like look like I don't belong, and that has to affect me for the rest of the night. I have to be careful what sort of things I wear, because if I wear things that look too foreign, if I don't dress American enough, they're going to like other me again. And these are just, again, these are microaggressions, because, and this isn't as terrible as being afraid for your life because the police are killing you. This isn't nearly as bad as that. This isn't being afraid that someone's going to call you a racial slur. That fear is still there, but not as much as, like, for, like, my black friends and stuff like that. Like, you piss someone off, are they going to call you a racial slur? Or for Asian people, it's like, you cut someone off in traffic, or you didn't do anything wrong and someone gets mad. Are they going to call you the C word and stuff like that? So it was a really hard time for me when I was 19 to like maybe like in my 20s, and when other people are dealing with I don't know, just the regular struggles of being that age and not being able, like, you're not able to drink, but you're expected to know exactly what you're going to do in your career and make the right decisions and stuff like that. I had to deal with that plus racism plus being poor. So that's something to think about. And so when people wonder why Asian people, or like say black folks, when people wonder why they're so mad about cultural appropriation, I need y'all to understand that it's not just about clothes or hair or like a fake name that you put on. It's much more than that. It's about everything that I mentioned before, and just the fact that we deal with this mental load at all times. Am I going to be hate crimed? Is some shitty white person going to go up to me and start saying random things to me, fetishize me? Are they going to attack me because I'm not acquiescent to the things that they're asking us? It's all of these things, and then you go on Instagram and you find out that someone's doing this like chinoiserie sort of thing, and they're white, and they will never understand what it's like to be you. They don't go through the same things that you go through. And that fucking sucks, knowing that you could write them a whole entire like paragraph and they won't understand, and they're committed to misunderstanding you. So that's why things like cultural appropriation, it's more than just that. And a lot of the people that hate it the most are the people that are hurting the most. Because, I mean, why would you care so much about cultural appropriation if you've never been a victim of racism? But if you've seen your culture bastardized while you're treated as a second-class citizen in this country, you're more likely to care about those things. And trust me, because I've seen my classmates change their minds where they didn't care about racism when they were in high school, but they did when they went into college because they experienced racism in college. And this is the reality of things that we go through. Thank you for everyone that's still watching. I appreciate it. I'm like not getting the brows that I want right now. I have this really beautiful wig that I styled that I'm going to put on later. But I think on the topic of cultural appropriation and stuff, also on like mental health, there's a lot of things that the Asian community is not particularly good on. And again, these are things that might be very similar to, say, the Black community and the Latinx community and stuff like that. Which, again, I want to say, like, I know that these communities are not necessarily unified. I know, like, a lot of people, they're like, I don't really see myself as, like, Latinx. I just see myself as, like, Mexican or Salvadorian. And even with Asian people, there's, like, biases against other Asian groups. Which is, again, it's not everyone in that group. It's some people. And the younger generation is less likely to care about it. But, just a disclaimer as I talk about this. Now I forgot what I was gonna say. Where is my black? Okay, I think it was here. Nope, I have to go find it. I'm trying to find my black eyeshadow. I know I have it. Man, that's not fun. I can't find it. Okay, that's right. I'm gonna go ahead and bake my face to make sure that this lasts, because I am doing a performance again in the Castro. I'm going to be doing two performances. One is going to be to Dynasty by Rina Sawayama. The other one is going to be to 24/7 by Kalani. So, okay, I remember I was talking about things that the Asian community is bad at, and one of them is mental health. There's like a word in Chinese that my parents would say, like fengzi, which is like basically like crazy, frenzied, and then I'm trying to think what this other word was. But there was like this like nasty word that my mom would say, and she was very ableist. Like if we were near someone that was like, I'm trying to think, like not stimming, but acting in a way that was like neurotypical, she would actually like drag us away from them, and she was disgusted by them. And I hate that so much. I mean, first of all, I don't claim that my family is good people. I actually explicitly say that they're not. I learned the hard way that they're just really like unopen-minded, ableist homophobic, racist people. But the thing is that even though a lot of Chinese families are that way, a lot of aren't. And even though my family was abusive, a lot of my friends didn't have abusive families. And now their parents might have been strict. They might have been restrictive or been like, you can't have this, you can't have like video games, but they weren't abusive. And that's the thing, is just that like not everyone is the same. Mental health is something that is historically just like not believed or not talked about in the Asian community. And then there's also a thing of trauma where a lot of Cambodian families and a lot of Vietnamese families have experienced intergenerational trauma. And why is that? It's because they're escaping war. They're escaping really horrendous environments. They've literally seen genocide. And that trauma goes and then it passes on. Hi, Quay! That trauma goes and then it passes on to their kids and stuff. I have to go ahead and fix this eye. Oh man, I have to go ahead and clear my memory card because I'm like running out of space. Give me 1 second, you all. 1 second. Okay, that's better. So mental health, definitely an issue within Asian communities. And the reason why I say this is because I'm someone that suffers from now newly diagnosed ADHD, depression, anxiety, and my self-diagnosis, which is complex PTSD. And so when I was mentioning experienced street harassment on a near daily basis in Pasadena, LA, also Studio City, Malibu, and stuff, I was really like going nuts. And then people were just like, why are you so angry? Why are you so like pent up? Like, what's her problem? But they're not really seeing, one, what's going on. And so some people of color, people will look at them and be like, why are they so angry? Or other people of color will look at them and being like, well, I go through a lot of things they go through. Why are they so angry? And what you're not seeing is the fact that they might have experienced more trauma than you, more racism than you, and they have to deal with the constant burden of having like a mental illness and stuff like that. So these are just things that I want to talk about. While this is so like deeply rooted in our consciousness during this period, and people that are like race blind and stuff are not making anything better, because this absolutely matters. And we need to talk about the way we treat sex workers in this country. We need to talk about basically why freaking am I using the right thing? Yeah. We need to talk about why young white people are so confident just to basically try and kill others because, quote unquote, they're having a bad day. Like, these are all things that we need to talk about. And the fact that people are continuing to have racist ideas when so many of us are suffering the very basic day-to-day things, hi Evelyn, is a huge, huge problem. And so when it comes down to it, things aren't just jokes. Cultural appropriation has a lot of weight behind it. And there's another thing that I want to talk about that people have mentioned. I think I forget whether I saw this on Twitter first or on Tumblr first, whatever. And it's about how if a white person is calling, not a white person, if a person of color is trying to call you a white person in, that means that they're still invested in this relationship. They're giving you a chance to basically take a step back and think about your friendship and basically, you know, just do the right thing and consider that maybe you were wrong about something. If what you do is double down and say like, no, like, you know, I can't be racist, I can't, like, I'm a good person, I can't have any, prejudiced views, because we all have prejudiced views, it's embedded in us, especially in this country, then what you're essentially doing is you're telling that friend that they don't care to you. and that your pride is more important than them feeling safe. And that's essentially what it means. We're having a lot of hard conversations during this period. And the thing is, you're probably going to find out, a lot of people are going to find out during this period things that they didn't know. A lot of you might not have known about some of the injustices that happened in the Philippines, in Vietnam. Hi, Evelyn. A lot of people might not have known about some of the, what does that sound? Historical things that have happened in this country, which is like wildly racist. But then this is the time to basically learn and talk about that. And the thing is, just a lot of Asian American activists have been talking about it, and it's not been listened to. Another thing I want to mention is that it seems like people are trying to create a rift between the Black and Asian communities, and some of this is rooted in the fact that there has been anti-Blackness in the Asian American community, and there has been mistrust in the Black community, and I understand for good reasons against Asian people. And at the same time, white people are trying to pit minorities against each other to basically make each other look bad and to promote like white supremacist things. And these are all true. Multiple things can be true. And I just want to basically highlight that and the importance of us having these conversations. So at this point, I'm never going to tell like first of all, the whole thing of like, you need to be supporting Asian people, Black people, is like, what? First of all, talk to the oppressors. And second of all, it's just, you don't want to make an entire population guilty for the actions of a few. So you shouldn't put that on, especially when it's a marginalized group. So you shouldn't put that on anyone. Of course, there's a different story when there's a huge systemic issue where people have been killing and dehumanizing others, and that's what I'm also trying to talk about. So, these are all really important issues. I'm trying to check my time here. Okay, I'm gonna have to leave soon. Ah! So the thing with like racism and prejudice and stuff is these problems aren't going to be solved overnight. There are a lot of conversations that need to happen. Someone was bringing up like, what about all of the racist ladies in like the beauty shops and stuff? Hey, and the thing is, I fucking hate those people. Like, I hate that they think it's okay to just randomly like assault Black women. I hate that there are racist people, that there are people that are going to like follow you and stuff like that when you go inside a beauty shop. We need to be having these conversations, and we need to be talking with our folks about racism that happens. What am I trying to say? But it's just like, if we want someone out of the community, we have as much resources as others do, which is basically not supporting their business and whatnot. And I think it's just like, it's important now that we're having these conversations. And I think a lot of Asian American kids are just making too many excuses, like, my parents won't understand and stuff. And you'd be surprised. I would say like, you'd be surprised, because a lot of people are able to change their minds. My mom was recently expressing her support for trans women of color that have been murdered, and just thinking about how sad it was. And the thing is, just like, there are some people that are unfortunately toxic and will never change and will never admit that they're wrong. And there's other people that can be persuaded too. And so when you're on the internet and you see if you see someone and they're just straight up spitting racist shit, it's probably better not to engage them. I mean, you can, but they're probably just they're just there to agitate and be racist and remain racist. But I think it's good to engage people that they might not be the people commenting, but they might have questions about things. And I think that there's educational opportunities there. So there's a lot to say. I think one of my biggest goals is for marginalized people, and yes, so I'm reading East Base Vicious's comment. We have the capacity to be racist, doesn't matter if you're black or Asian or white. We can't let those racist people justify not supporting other communities' colors. Yes, absolutely. I'm gonna pause this again. So, what am I trying to say? It's just, I think if you study the history of this country and how white supremacy has basically pushed aside every single population of people imaginable, going way back again to the Chinese Exclusion Act, going way back to slavery, to the genocide of indigenous people, there's a lot more that we can gain from understanding each other than not. So it really hurts when I see the division. I understand that some of these conversations are not for me to be starting or to be having, and so I just hope that people can be more open-minded and understanding. And I'm specifically speaking to other Asian people, like, if you're upset that someone is upset at the racist Asian people that have committed, like, you know, like racist acts against black folks or other folks, rather than being defensive, ask maybe like what you can do about that, and have their moment, let them have their like moment of anger and stuff. I have to hurry up with this look. Oh my god. Okay, I'm gonna be doing a red lip. But yeah, what other things can we talk about? Yes, so the idea of racial preference and also fetishization. I have seen that to a lot of Black and Asian solidarity. That makes me really hopeful. I haven't been out recently in Oakland yet, but that's one thing that I really love about Oakland. Seeing that people were sharing like Stop Asian Hate in Atlanta makes me super happy. So I really love seeing that. On the topic of racial fetishization, this is another thing where people like, I don't really see what's wrong if I say that I'm interested in this group of people and stuff, and racial othering. And this is something that's in the gay community. This is something with like that white men do, especially to like Asian women. And a lot of the tropes that people express are rooted in very, very old stereotypes. And this is true, I think, very much for the Black community and also for the Asian community and stuff. And I don't know why people think it's okay to go up to Asian people and just say like racist things. And unfortunately, like, I have a friend that literally experienced a racist counter from a gay white man at Pride in San Diego several years ago. My friend, who is an Asian woman lesbian, was just walking back from the event. She had a good Pride, and then like a white gay just comes up to her and is like, you know, ching chong ching ling long, and it's just like, what the fuck? Like, why would you do something like that? Why do you think that's funny? And that's why I had to put on my Twitter, being LGBTQ does not absolve you of your racism. Like, and being MB does not absolve you of your racism. Racism is still racism no matter what other many things that you have. And so I think racial fetishization is constantly just, it's on people's minds, and I think it's really gross. And I think when people even have preferences, they're like, oh, it's okay to have a preference. I think it's good to analyze why that is. And it's good to analyze if you have, if you're attracted to people of like this certain race, do you actually have friends of the same or opposite gender of that race? Do you actually seek to understand their needs and their problems and understand some of the issues that might get in the way of your relationship? I'm trying to find my like lipstick and I'm like having trouble finding it. It's my favorite lipstick. God damn, where is it? So these are things to talk about. Learning doesn't end. It's a constant process. And there's also a lot that we can learn from youth, but there's also a lot that we can learn from elders. And so that's one thing I want to say. Yes! Thank you, Freddie. Okay. How are you doing today? Okay, so I'm gonna be wrapping up this look soon. I have a, oh shoot. I want to have sparkles and stuff I'm gonna put like on my face. I'm gonna go get it, okay. If I can find it. Yes. Awesome, glad to hear that you're good. I am tired too. I'm gonna be going to an event performing in the Castro at an LGBT rally and LGBT and Asian solidarity rally, so that's gonna be exciting. I'm going to be right back because I need to go get my sparkles and stuff. Okay, so I have these sparkles. I'm gonna put something, I say sparkles, I mean like rhinestones. Oh, I forgot I bought these. I bought these. I'm so silly. There was like a glove I was supposed to finish like a long time ago. It's going to be at 11. I think from 11 to like 2, and I'm gonna be talking in between like, oh, this is not gonna work, is it? Nope. I'm gonna be basically performing in between the speeches. So there are going to be speeches in the Castro. By the way, this sort of thing on the forehead here is actually, so I think Indian people and other South Asian people have bindis, but this is actually, with Chinese people, it's usually meant to represent a flower. And so this is a decorative thing that we put on our faces and stuff as well. I kind of wish I could make it look a little bit more like a flower, but I'm kind of running short on time. Okay, now I'm going to put on my lashes. That I should have washed. But oh yes, that looks good. That looks good. Okay, cool. So I'm putting on these lashes. Thank you so much. Juicy Lou, I think, is the one organizing the event. Hello. But I might be the only performer. I'm not sure unless she's gotten some people last minute. Which is going to be exciting because I feel like I haven't performed in a really long time. Oh. No, don't be wonky. So I don't think I have enough time to maybe go into my outfit and show you all what I'm going to be wearing. But I can show you all the wig and stuff. Or actually, I mean, I should go ahead and like put it on off screen. I'm just trying to think about this. Cool. Oh, there's that other lash. Okay. Hello. Yes, okay, I think I'm gonna put on this right over here. Just add a little bit of rhinestones on it. Ah! Okay. Am I wearing that the wrong way? Yeah, that should go on the other side actually. My nose is itchy. Okay. Where are my other lashes? Where are my other lashes? Okay, so then I'm going to put on this one. Hello! I just realized another topic I could talk about, but I'm like almost done with this like stream right now or video, but for a while I actually used to actually like really loathe my culture. Like I hated being Chinese, not being Asian. I actually really enjoyed being Asian. I grew up in an all Asian environment, but I didn't like being Chinese because one, we didn't really celebrate holidays or have fun, and then two, my parents were really abusive. I found out later that they weren't abusive because they were Chinese, they were just abusive because they're abusive, and that abuse can come in any culture, any gender, sexual orientation, whatever, and that like I had to confront my own personal biases, and that it's really powerful in this country what they can do to you when you have that sort of self-loathing and whatnot. Alright, and ta-da, here's the finished look. I look like a Chinese princess. This is an outfit I just got recently from AliExpress. It's like a hanfu, which is basically traditional Chinese wear. So it's not a kimono, it's a hanfu. And these are gloves I made myself. I'm actually kind of still in construction. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope this was informative, and thank you again. Subscribe to my channel if you like this. Comment with something you learned, and I'll see you all soon.